What is going on, my beautiful people? Happy New Year, the first episode of 2026. You are tuned into the Bamboo Season Podcast. I'm your host, Sober Wellness Coach Dorian Warmsley. This is the podcast where you're going to hear real stories from real people to help you feel inspired, motivated to continue on your journey of growth and transformation. My guest today embodies all of that. Have you ever met those people who have so much trauma, they've been through so much, yet they still show up with a smile on their face, great energy, making you feel good? Or maybe you're that person. You've been through the mud, you've been through a lot of things, but you're still showing up for others. I always wonder how. How are you this nice and sweet and beautiful and you've been through all this? They've done work on themselves, and it's a lifelong journey. Healing is a lifelong journey. I'm introduced to you today, my guest, the amazing, phenomenal, Jamie Malloy.
Good afternoon. Hi, Dorian.
¿Cómo
Nice to
estás?
be here. Muy bien.
Oh, that's the first time somebody talked back in Spanish.
That's all I know.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't know much either. So, Miss Jamie Malloy, I know a good part of your story. And once I heard it, I was like, whoa. Because when I met you initially, like I said in the intro, like just your energy was so nice and warm and welcoming. And then I heard your story and I'm like, how are you not still together, but kind of like how, like there's a lot to your story we'll get into in a little bit. But if you could just let my audience know, who are you? What do you do? Who you help?
I live in Las Vegas. I've been here since 2001. I am currently the executive director of sales at Bellagio. So my team is responsible for all the conventions at Bellagio. So I'm very blessed to work with an amazing group of people there. My passion is in wellness. So I also teach yoga. I just received my breathwork facilitation earlier this year.
Wow, congrats.
Thank you. So that is a strong part of what I do and who I help.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And breathwork, what got you into breathwork?
I discovered breathwork about 4 years ago. I found it to be very healing, very transformational. To me, at the end of a breathwork session, it almost feels like physically, like you just received a massage, but also emotionally. It kind of allows you to release and let go of what no longer serves you. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got into it 4 years ago. Was there anything that triggered you to go that route of wanting to get breath work? Like what was going on? Because I've known people sometimes get into certain modalities to kind of start work on themselves or heal something.
It was presented to me, and at the time I was very open to all healing modalities, and I found it to be instantly rewarding. It's a great way to release emotion that's stuck in the body, similar to why I started teaching yoga. That was the intention when I became a teacher, is to help people release stagnant emotion from the body. So that is my intention, my purpose when I teach.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
You're not just doing it just to do it. You're doing it with the purpose of helping people feel better, helping yourself feel better also, I'm sure.
Yes.
That's kind of why I got into fitness and wellness, the space I'm in. And there's other people in wellness who understand, which I'm sure you do as an instructor yourself, is sometimes just doing it and seeing you're helping people makes you feel better.
Yes.
It kind of fills your cup up.
Yes.
And that's what I love about it. Like I would do it for free.
Yes.
And that's why I love that I'm able to fortunately get paid to do what I do. But it's something and I've done it for free. When I first started, I had to get, build my clientele and brand. But it's just, even now, 4 or 5 years into it, there's days where I'm not feeling it. Just I didn't sleep good or just not feeling it emotionally and mentally. But then I get into the gym, I see my client, I get to learn about their day, how they're going. And I truly just get so happy when I see them. And even at the group fitness gyms that I work at, even teach Pilates, there's a lot of days where I'm just nope. But once I see that first person, right, I forget that I even felt that way.
Yeah.
And once I'm done with it, I'm like, I'm glad I came today.
Yeah.
I'm glad I showed up because they probably needed it. And little did I know, I needed it.
Yeah.
You
community is very important.
Yeah. Touch on that a bit. What's the importance of community, you think?
I just think true healing and long lasting healing happens in community. You can't do it on your own, and you can't do it in an isolated space. You need to connect with others, and it's mutually beneficial, between you and the receiver. There are times when I don't feel like going into yoga either, but the energy that I walk into immediately boosts me or lifts me. It gives me what I need in that moment.
I like what you just said there, and it's so important. I want people to hear this is winning that moment, right? For people who aren't instructors, but people who go to classes, they go to yoga, they go to fitness classes, they have those moments where I'm not feeling it, am I good? It's like, if you could win that moment, just say, you know what, let me just go and see what happens. If I'm not feeling it by the time I get there, I'll leave.
Yes.
But if you just go, and your whole emotion is going to change. I almost guarantee it. As soon as you step onto that mat, or as soon as you step into that wellness space, you probably weren't feeling it. But if you just win that moment of getting out your emotions and doing what you know is going to make, you probably don't know it's going to make you feel better, but it will. That whole hour goes by, and I've never met somebody who regretted a workout, a yoga class, Pilates class. I never met anybody say they regretted it. Even if they didn't like the instructor, they still felt physically like some type of a release and just those feel good chemicals.
Yeah. There's always a takeaway.
Always a takeaway. I like that.
Yeah.
Something you said about the importance of community and people doing things alone. I recently heard a podcast, and it was so amazing how he said this. He was touching on how people want to grow, but they're trying to grow and get better by themselves and in solitude. And part of the reason is sometimes they don't want to be around others and people, because sometimes those people are going to be sandpaper to them, push them out their comfort zone. So that's why they rather do it themselves, because they don't have nobody keeping them accountable, nobody to call them out, nobody to make sure they're doing what they said they would do. And it's almost impossible to get to the next level in any way, physically, financially, spiritually, by yourself all the time. You're going to need people who are going to be that sandpaper for you, who are going to maybe push you, make you feel uncomfortable, but it's all out of love. And I hope I had learned that, because I thought when I went sober and I was solo in solitude, and I grew, I got better, but I hit a certain wall where it was just me. There was nobody telling me to do this or do that. I was in control of everything.
Yeah.
And then I got a coach, 2 coaches at one point. And it opened my eyes to a whole nother level of like, oh, you thought you knew? You thought you knew how to handle things? Okay, we're going to see.
Yeah.
And I think it's so beneficial to have a tribe of people that have similar core values, I would say, more than anything. They don't have to like the same music, but if their core values are similar of why they want to get better, they want to help people or themselves, I think it's important to stick to those people.
Just the people in general that want to grow.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's so important to sit back and assess your environment or who you have around you. Think about it. Like, think about the people in your circle or people you hang out with. Can you notice or see they want growth, that they want to be better, or are they stagnant? Now, if they're stagnant, it don't mean they're a horrible person, but you got to decide, what do you want? If you want to grow and the persons you hang out the most are stagnant, what are you going to do? You're probably going to stay stagnant, because they're not going to push you out your level.
Right.
And you can only pull people so far. And you got to be willing to place yourself in separate environments, which is hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. Healing can be very lonely at times. Yeah. Yeah. You have to fight through that. But you also have to ensure that you can be alone with yourself. Some people have difficulty with that. So it's a balance.
Jamie, I love that. That's what I believe in. Also, I went through it myself. I went through a point where I was just to myself and alone, and it's so uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. It's very just, you just feel, you want to get out of your own skin. But like I mentioned earlier, you win that moment, it stacks. I won a few moments at a time. Before you knew it, I just enjoyed my own company more than anything. Not wanting to not be around people, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm just to myself, I don't need to always be doing something. Like, I met somebody recently, and every time I talk to her and catch up with her, and even on social media, she's always doing something with people. And I asked her, I was like, are you ever like alone to yourself? She was like, no. I'm like, what are you running from? I automatically try to go deep,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And she was receptive to it. She's like, I don't know. And I try to make it known that it's not like negative, that you're always doing things that are filling your cup and it's fun. But at some point you got to sit and think like, why don't I just sit by myself alone for a day or a weekend
Mm-hmm.
and figure out why?
Yeah. Yeah.
So back to you with your breath work. You mentioned you got into it because you noticed it helps you release emotions, stagnant energy. Was there anything particular that you were trying to release when you started doing breath work?
When I really dove into the yoga world, I had always done yoga, but not consistently. Prior to the pandemic, I was reformer Pilates was my traditional workout. I was going 5 or 6 days a week. And then during the pandemic, the Pilates studios closed down, but the community that I lived in offered 9 outdoor yoga classes a week. So I was going to every single yoga class. And after months of that routine, going to yoga, I started to notice how terrible I felt emotionally. I found myself crying on the mat from time to time. And I mentioned it to my therapist. I have a lifelong therapist. I've been going to him for at least 15 years now. And I was complaining to him. I said, I'm going to 9 yoga classes a week and I feel terrible. I should be feeling great. And he reminded me that yoga is one of the easiest and fastest ways to release emotion from the body. So at that point, I knew my body was grieving. I had had a lot of loss in a short amount of time. And when I discovered that and started to research it, I wanted to be able to teach that to other people.
Wow.
So that's what led me on my path. It was a few days later, ironically, on my Instagram feed, I saw there was a yoga teacher training starting the very next day. It aligned with my schedule. You know, I very much trust the timing of things and simplicity. And 9 weeks later, I had my 200-hour yoga certification. So it was meant to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
You mentioned you had a lot of loss in a short period of time. Do you mind touching on that a bit?
Yeah. I had my brother in 2018 passed away from a drug overdose. My brother Josh, he was 40 years old. It caught my whole family by surprise. It was a very devastating experience. I grew up in a household riddled with addiction, so he very much followed that path. Unfortunately, he was a very sensitive person. And 10 months later, my mom passed away unexpectedly from cancer. And that was a huge shock to me. I was very close with my mother. I got to care for her in her final days. At the same time, my son was diagnosed with severe schizophrenia. And so October of 2019 was just a whirlwind for me. You know, losing my mom, but also I felt such power in taking care of my mother. But then having to deal with the reality of, I had seen symptoms of my son's illness prior to that and I wasn't able to diagnose it myself. And out of pure just not knowing what to do, I drove him to a mental hospital and they diagnosed him on his 23rd birthday. After that, I had my father passed away, my biological father passed away, and a very close best friend from childhood passed away. So I was dealing with all of that loss in a short amount of time. And I found healing through yoga, through other modalities, like I mentioned, breath work. I have a strong community of women around me that I found healing in them as well. But that's really what led me down my path. Yeah, is all of that. Yeah.
I want to say I thank you for sharing
Thank
all
you.
that personal, deep-rooted stuff. It's very eye-opening. Even I've heard this, but I'm hearing it again. I'm just like, that's a lot. And I thought it was important for you to come on here and share this because there's going to be parents out there who have children
Mm-hmm.
that deal with mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be people with mental health issues who need to hear this to feel some type of support or light at the end of the tunnel. And also, losing family members to addiction. I've had a lot of guests on here who lost people to addiction. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to backtrack to, it's a lot to touch on, but
Mm-hmm.
one thing at a time, one bite at a time.
Yeah.
Back to your son.
Yes.
That was one thing you told me that shocked me, was he was diagnosed with schizophrenia when he was 22?
23.
23. If you can take us back to possibly that time period of what led up to that, kind of the journey of him getting diagnosed and the journey up to now where it's at.
He was living in California at the time when the symptoms started to show up. It was about 6 months prior to his diagnosis. At first, I thought it was anxiety, and I tried to calm that with ashwagandha, natural CBD things. It was very unusual behavior for him. And then it started to escalate. He started to feel paranoia at work around his colleagues. And of course, as a mom, I'm like scared for him. I don't want anyone harming my son. And knowing how gentle natured he is and how easy it is for him to make friends in any environment, this was all very startling to me. And then he quit his job because he was fearful of the people around him. And as he was looking for another job, again, he was hearing voices and just a lot of confusion on his part, a lot of isolation. His roommates had reached out to me saying, we haven't seen Bailey in a couple of days. So there was definitely that level of worry. And the way he was acting, I suspected drugs in the beginning, but looking at him, he looked still very healthy. His skin was clear. He had an appetite. So I couldn't pinpoint what was wrong. And then when I knew my mom was going to pass, I sent for him from California. He was very close with my mother. And when he showed up, the symptoms were so apparent. He was questioning what the TV was telling us. He started to get scared with the technology in the space. And as a mom, I was like, you're going to go shower, I'm going to feed you, and then you're going to sleep off, whatever this is. Maybe I was in denial at the time. Maybe I could only deal with my mom in those days. And so when my mom passed, I looked at Bailey and I was trying to pinpoint what was wrong, and it just seemed to escalate in the days after. And I took him to the hospital. They diagnosed him right away. Immediately, it just went downhill. He started living on the streets by choice, which it was just a shock in itself. The first time you find out your son slept outside in a not so good area of town, and then to find out it's going to happen 2 nights in a row and 3 nights in a row, and it just happened so fast I could hardly keep up with it. Then he started drinking very heavily, which is a result of them wanting to drown out, the mind and how it's controlling them. Then it led to drug use. It led to incarceration, all the things that go with homelessness. So from 2020 until now, he lives on the streets by choice. He's been incarcerated several times, whether it's for trespassing or shoplifting, drug paraphernalia. It's led to meth addiction, alcoholism. He was hospitalized 13 times in the first year of his diagnosis, dehydration. Every once in a while I get a bill in the mail for an ambulance ride that I didn't know he was in. Just a lot of worry, a lot of distance. I went 9 months without talking to him, without speaking to him, and I found him in Kingman, Arizona, living on the streets. Here I was comforted to know that he was always going to be in Las Vegas, which I would always be in Las Vegas, and then come to find out he's in Kingman, Arizona, and I don't even know it. That happened last year, and that took a lot to get over. Yeah. Sorry, that was long-winded.
No, it's your story.
Yeah.
My podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
You could talk as long as you want.
Okay.
If you're long-winded, I'll tell you. You know I'm very straightforward.
Yes.
I have a friend, shout out Lorraine. Haven't seen you, baby. Miss you. Real good friend. She's long-winded, and I'll tell her. But she knows she's long-winded. It's like a joke between us. Hope she don't get mad I said it. But I'll tell her, hey, short-winded, answer this question for me. No, I think you took us on a journey just now. I was there. I felt it. And I just don't know where to start, what to touch on. But one thing I want to say was you said how the first few nights of knowing your son, your baby, your first and only kid, is deciding to sleep on the streets. What were your emotions at that time? Those first few nights when it's like, I have a house, I got a bed for him, but my son is going to go sleep and I don't know where. What was the emotions?
Fear. I didn't sleep. And it's crazy as a mom how eventually you do have to sleep, even though you do know your child's out on the streets and you've found him in a tunnel. The first time I found my son sleeping in a tunnel, first of all, I was walking through the tunnel by myself, and luckily he was close to the edge. I didn't have to go too deep into the tunnel, but I hadn't heard from him in months, and I was looking for him. And I found him. I approached him. He was sleeping, and I remember walking up with my phone on video just in case someone was going to assault me or attack me. And he was sleeping, and he woke up as I approached, and his initial reaction was, hi, Mom, is everything okay? Just like it was completely normal. And how are you? And that's just his nature. Typically, that's his nature. He's a very caring, loving, warm person. And I said, I'm fine, Bailey. I haven't been able to find you. And he's like, oh, I'm fine. And he was just laying on a blanket. He had a Walkman. He had a bottle of alcohol next to him, and he was just sound asleep. And the thing about schizophrenia is our conversations have changed dramatically since the diagnosis. I mean, he is my favorite person. And what they don't tell you is when they are diagnosed with that, a lot of their personalities are just stripped, and it becomes very, the warmth is gone. What makes him Bailey is hiding. He's used to be very, very much a hugger, loved to receive hugs, loved to give hugs. And now it's very distant. It's very cold. It's just has been a complete adjustment learning to live with this. Conversations I've learned. I went through an 8-week support group through the organization NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. And I learned a lot about the diagnosis and got to talk to other family members, parents that have gone through this much longer. I was very new to this. So that was very beneficial, but I learned that you ask them one question at a time, and it has to be very basic in order to get them to respond and communicate back. So I've had to do a lot of learning on my part, and I've had to lower my expectations considerably. Yeah.
You mentioned that you had to realize, mom needs sleep.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, compared then to now, like, has there ever been, or there's has there ever been, or is there still guilt that you go about your life, your day, living how you live, doing your thing while he's living that life? Was there guilt initially? Is there still guilt? How do you deal with that?
Guilt. I think a lot of confusion initially. How is this happening? I loved being a mom. I see the good in Bailey every single day. How did this happen? How is it he doesn't want to live in this house with me? How is it I can't talk him into coming up to the house for dinner? Why doesn't he want to take a shower at my house? And he forgets things. I remember going to see him in the hospital one time, and he asked me, "How's grandma?" And I said, "She died. You know, you were there." And he's like, "I'm so sorry, Mom." You know, but he just, that side of him is very much lost. I think there was a little bit of guilt because I am generally a very happy person, and I knew enough about grief at that point that I had to live through it. I did a lot of that, you know, after losing my brother, my mom, and learning about grief and seeing the addiction in my household growing up and how people were masking a lot of pain and what it did to them. I never wanted to be that. That was my goal in life, is, you know, just handle things in the moment when they hit you, accept it, and learn to live through it. And luckily I had been living that way, and I was able to live that way through Bailey's diagnosis as well. And every day since. Now, some days are really good and some days are harder than others. I mean, I feel it every day. It's at the core of me, where Bailey is. And, you know, people talk to me about, you know, when he is incarcerated, you know, I get the standard response, you know, at least you know where he is now. And that's a really hard statement for me to hear, because jail is not a pretty place, especially for someone in Bailey's state. I have just a different set of worries, and that's a hard thing for other people to grasp, but it's also a very hard thing for me to hear. So there's anger associated with it, but I know people, they just don't know, you know, I know it's coming from a loving place. Yeah.
Wow. When you're out in life, you see families, you see little boys, and do you ever have moments where it hits you?
Yeah, I do. The holidays are hard. You know, his birthday's Halloween, so that's always a hard day for me. I miss Bailey every day. I never envisioned my life would be like this. But through my healing and I definitely have a strong spiritual faith now that I've adapted. Sorry.
Sam?
No, I do need to shut that off though.
So no, it's all right. It just ruined the whole episode. It's okay. No, I'm just kidding. You're fine. It's all right.
I lost my train of thought.
Holidays are hard because, you know, he's not around his birthday.
I thought life would be different, but these are the cards I was dealt, and I know there's no mistakes. I trust the timing in life. I know that Bailey is serving his purpose. He's on the right path for whatever his soul is going through. I trust that, and I know that I'm supposed to be his mom. He's supposed to be my son. So I've accepted that, and I know I don't try to change things or wish things were different anymore.
Wow, anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're very inspiring. Since I've gotten to know you past few months, we met through Leadership Las Vegas. Shout out to Leadership Las Vegas.
Yes.
And just because the way knowing what your story is and knowing how you've been able to work through it. It wasn't like you just are this happy-go-lucky person, so positive. There, as we hear this story, and like you said, it took you time to get to this point of acceptance. Because I can only imagine there's probably a lot of guilt and maybe shame, or maybe even feeling like it was your fault. Or was there ever a time you felt like it was your fault that this had happened?
No, I didn't ever feel it was my fault. I wondered if I missed signs along the way. Maybe I could have handled things differently. In the beginning, I took a lot of things personally with the way Bailey was acting or treating me differently. And then I just learned this is not really who Bailey is. So, and even to this day, I still have those moments. I had one the other day. He called as I was heading out to teach yoga. And he asked me where I taught yoga. And I've been teaching yoga in the same location for the last 4 years, same day and time. So some days I feel like he doesn't even know me anymore. And that was just a hard conversation for me. And I didn't take it out on him in the moment. I just accepted it, but it made me sad. It was sad for me because yoga is such a huge part of my life. And it's, and the fact that he either forgot or doesn't know that, it was hard to hear. Yeah. Yeah. What's sad is, Bailey's been on this path for several years now, and I have very close people in my life that have never met Bailey. So I feel like there's this part of me that people don't even know, because he's just been this distant person in my life. People don't know whether to ask me about Bailey, if it's going to make me feel bad, or if they should ask about him. So I think people are uneasy about how to handle the situation. Those that know me and love me, they always ask me about Bailey. I don't want Bailey to be forgotten. And, I want to still feel like a mother when I can, because I don't always get the opportunity. Yeah.
With you saying that, you mentioned there's people who give you that kind of standard response of, well, at least you know where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in your position or anything, but to me, that would piss me off, because people I'm gonna try to keep it positive, but I just feel some people are such on autopilot with their responses, with their reactions, with everything in life, that they don't even say what they really feel or even try to feel. Like when somebody passes, sorry for your loss. I wonder if people even think, do you ever, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why do you say that? Something you saw in a movie, you think you should say? I'm not gonna lie, to this day, sometimes I don't know what to say. When somebody loses somebody, I don't always say sorry for your loss. I kind of just ask how they're feeling. And because not everybody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
But we're such in a world, we're so automated with life. Sometimes just seems like it's a movie in a different, or a show, a different episode. People's responses are so automatic, and people are scared to feel and ask questions.
Yes.
And I think that's important. Like when you told me the story, I was getting deep. I'm a curious person.
Yes.
Because I feel you get to really know somebody when you do get curious and you ask. If the person doesn't want to answer, they'll say, hey, no. Or, you can know when to gauge. I've had people tell me, I don't want to talk about it. Or, cool, I'll back up. But I think it's important to show people you care. With that being said, what are things people can do or say to someone like you in your position? Do you want people to ask about your son? How can people support you in what you're going through?
Yeah, a few people have asked me this. I don't have a standard response because it depends on the person and their intention. If you're asking just to check the box, then I don't want you to ask. But there are people in my life that when they do ask, I feel like I can open up to them and I can really share. And that feels good. I feel seen, heard, valued in that moment. And I feel like Bailey was talked about today and it feels good. But I don't like those transactional conversations. Yeah, I can do without them. Yeah. Luckily, I have enough people in my life that I have deep conversations with. Yeah.
Yeah, it's once again, thank you for sharing this, because your story about your son, I've told you this, but I've always been curious sometimes when you go and you're out in life and you see homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll think sometimes like, where's their, especially when I see older people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's their parents? Where's their mom, their brother, their sister, their whoever? Granted, there's some people who are there based off their decisions. You know, they made bad choices. They're there. But there's some you probably, I'm like, where?
Mm-hmm.
Where's there? And then I meet you and I hear your story. That's probably somebody's story out there.
Right.
They're not
Yeah.
always there by, well, they're there by choice, but like, you see what I'm saying? Like your son's there by choice, but it's caused by his schizophrenia
Mm-hmm.
that led to drug use. And now it's like a cycle and comfortability,
Yeah.
comfort. So that's why I was so glad to hear your story, because it gave me answers of like, listen, I need them, but for people out there who might need them, because you're not there's a lot of homeless people.
Well, sorry to.
No, don't, go ahead.
What I learned through leadership, and to trust the timing of things, it was one of the session days we have with Leadership Las Vegas, and Shine a Light was doing a panel. And they mentioned how homelessness is an addiction. And I had never thought about that. And one of the things they said on the panel that struck a nerve with me, I just immediately broke down into tears, was one of the guests on the panel that was homeless for 5 years said it took him a month to be able to feel comfortable sleeping in a bed again. And to me, I hadn't connected the dots of that for Bailey. And so I started to inquire more about that. What is homelessness addiction? I don't understand that. But a lot of it starts where they don't want to let their loved ones down. They feel like they'd rather stay away rather than disappoint them, and know that they're only going to stay a night and then they're going to be back on the streets again, either using or what have you. So it took a minute for me to understand homelessness. And now, you know, I work with Shine a Light, and I feel like through that organization, I feel closer to Bailey, and I'm learning more about Bailey's world. So that's helping me, and the people at Shine a Light are also helping me through this process. Yeah.
We're going to continue on this real quick though. Shout out to Shine a Light here in Las Vegas. Rob, we love you. You're amazing. Jeff Iverson, Jamie Hatfield. Who else I know over there? George, Brent. Brent.
Yes.
Like, shout out to you guys doing the work, especially you, Rob, man. You're a great dude. And I want everybody, you see this moment, go check out Shine a Light. If you can donate something, volunteer every Saturday. I think Sunday also, they go in the tunnels and support those living in the tunnels. Just understand, some of those people aren't there because it's so fun, and some of them are stuck in their addiction. Some of them unsure how to get help. What we can do as a community is go on there and just throw a branch, throw a lifeline. And if they're ready, they'll come. But before you pass judgment, or even if you, go check out the tunnels, and it's gonna change you. I promise you. You think you know homelessness, you think you know what's going on. There's people living in the tunnels under the Caesar's Palace. And that was a crazy moment for me when I went in there. We were under Caesar's Palace, and it was a crazy contrast. Right upstairs, billions of dollars. Down below Caesar's Palace, people living in the tunnels. It's crazy. So go volunteer. I'll put their link in the description, actually. I want you to go check them out. But back to you. I was going to touch on that. It's amazing. That's one thing we have in common is the Shine a Light. You're much more connected than I am, but I did, I met Rob a couple years ago through, shout out to Julie Kane too. Have you met Julie Kane? Oh, yeah. I need to get her on my podcast. She is by far one of the most amazing humans I've ever met. Yes. And it takes me back to fitness. Everything that's happened for me, the people I've met has all came from fitness. Kinda. And my story. Yeah. But I met Julie Kane through fitness 5-6 years ago, Orange Theory. She would take my class. And then she saw the work I was doing in the community, knew my story a bit, and was like, hey, I want you to come check out Shine a Light. You'd like it. And I think it'd be great for you to experience. I did. I met Rob, and me and Rob stayed connected over the time. Then I do leadership, and then he did leadership, Jeff Iverson, and it's just great.
It is.
There's a lot of, and that's what I was missing when I went through sobriety, was community. And it's so hard to understand that you have to let go of your old environments and friends. And when I say let go, I don't mean like I cut them off and don't talk to them, but interests change, aspirations change, what you want to do changes. And I was a lost soul for a long time. Like when I said being alone, it was okay at first, but then that time it got scary and it got like, what do I do? What's my life like?
Mm.
And I started to meet other people that are just doing different things.
Yeah.
I still have my same friends. I have my same friends for past 15 years now. I saw a Facebook post. It said, it was a quote from somebody on Facebook, like, hey, friend I met at a random house party in 2009. Let's stay friends on Facebook forever. That's literally me and all my friends. Me and all my friends pretty much met at a trap house in 2010. You familiar with the trap house now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I sent you the Gucci Man song so you can learn what trap house was. And, you know, and we just stayed friends and solid. Same like 6 of us to this day I can rely on and count on. But yeah, community, man, it's so important to find it.
It is.
And it's not always going to be the people you've been with the longest that are going to be your tribe, right? Even family, that ain't always going to be your tribe. Still a support system, but not always like your tribe. So you work with Shine a Light. There was something I was going to say. You realized it was an addiction for your son. And with Shine a Light now, what do you do with Shine a Light now?
I get to work with the women in recovery going through the program. So I lead them through yoga, a very gentle yoga practice. And then I have a book club with them. So we're currently reading The 4 Agreements, which is my favorite book. And I think everybody should read it, especially those going through recovery. So we've been reading it since September together, and it's a nice group, and we get to talk about the 4 Agreements. It's very healing. They're very open. I'm learning a lot about myself, a lot about them through the process. So it's been a really beautiful experience. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's hard work. It's hard work seeing the women go through the program and then some of them fall off, and they go back to the streets. And that's something I'm working through, trying not to
take it personal.
Use
that agreement, girl.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes.
I like that you said that everybody should read it, but I also think people should reread it.
Yes.
And I mean, because I read it, it's quick. It's not a long book.
It's not.
But it's like sometimes we do things just to check it off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I read that book, check.
Yeah.
I read this book, check. The books that people tell you should read to grow.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to read it again.
Yes.
And again. It takes so much, what's the word of doing things again and again?
Repetition.
Reps.
Yeah.
To finally take it in and be like, oh.
Yeah.
But we get so...
When I find myself out of alignment, it's usually one of the 4 agreements that I'm ignoring in that moment.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot of... Taking things personal is something I had to work on deeply. Even to this day, I still work on it. When I catch myself feeling some way about something, I'll take a second back and like, it got nothing to do with me. That's, and it's okay. I think it's okay to have those moments.
Yeah.
But self-talk. Awareness and self-talk is so important. I used to think that was crazy. Talking to yourself. I guess, And now I'm like, I have to talk myself off the ledge sometimes with certain things. And ego. So, shout out to you. Handling what you're handling. People are going to hear this and they'll be surprised when they meet you. And people who met you and don't even know that this is the journey and story you're on. And it's a lifelong journey for you.
It is.
Because you're always going to be a mom.
Yeah.
Like you're always going to sit there. I've seen you in action to where he calls, everything stops and you're answering that phone call. So what I did, if you're okay talking about that, like I noticed there's times where he'll call you he's in jail currently. By the time this episode comes out, it'll still be.
Yeah.
And he'll call you from jail. And how's that go? How's that for you? Or how's that work?
The conversations are very short. It's very transactional. 20 to 30 seconds. Sometimes I don't always know what the purpose of the call is. But I always answer. And it's sad. We don't have meaningful conversations anymore. We do video visits as well, and it's hit or miss if he's going to show up to a video visit. You get 30 minutes for a video visit, and I think the most we've ever spent on a video visit is 6 minutes. That was the longest. But there are sometimes he just mentally can't handle it. Like Thanksgiving, I was very prepared for our video visit. I had family surrounding me, my sister, and we were all looking forward to seeing him. And, he just didn't log on. And there was really no explanation. So part of it is just learning to not have expectations and accepting, whatever you do get. So that's been a practice.
Yeah, that's something I want to work on more also. Practice of what you just said of, I've seen posts about it more recently, is accepting people for who they are and not who you want them to be, which is so hard.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have to learn that with my mom, my dad. Those, more importantly, those.
Yeah.
But it's hard,
It is hard.
Because I don't know. I just want that. I want a dad and a mom that are present, that are going to, and make this clear, my mom will get all in her feelings about it. My mom's not horrible or anything. She's definitely texts me and we talk, but it's just, there was so much time and period where it wasn't where I needed. And I hold it in sometimes.
Yeah. I have those feelings about my father at times too, especially when I'm at lows or having to do something more masculine. I start to feel sorry for myself. Like, why don't I have a dad to do this? Yeah.
Same. Like I said, for me, the hardest time of the year is holidays for me also. Just because it's all over social media. It's all over. You drive the town and city, you see it. And it just takes me back to me being a kid, being homeless, living in motels, not having Christmas, not having things, which now as I'm older don't matter, but still having the experiences would have been different a little bit,
Yeah.
And then seeing it now, especially Father's Day, all those. And I'm just like, God, I don't give a damn about your dad. Get off my feed. And I gotta just work through it,
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's gonna be a lifelong thing. Who knows at what age I'll get over it, but I'm open-minded.
Yeah.
With you, there was other things you mentioned. Did you mention it today, or maybe I just know about it? But you had to end a marriage after 17 years.
Yep. My last partner, we were together 17 years. Our marriage ended the end of 2022, so it's been 3 years. It was a really hard decision on my part to take that step. I was very comfortable in the relationship, but with all the growth I had been doing, I just felt we were out of alignment and I didn't see us getting back to even. And I could have stayed. There was nothing too terrible in the marriage, but I knew I was destined for more. And so I made the decision to leave, and I was living alone for the first time in my life. I had never lived alone. I moved out in high school and I always had roommates or my son. So this was a completely new experience for me. And it took a minute for me to adjust to that. Living alone, I consciously decided not to date for the first couple of years. I didn't have anyone looking at my bank account for the first time. That was new freedom I wasn't used to. So I took the time, and it was a hard couple of years. Just, there was a lot of growth there, a lot of isolation. When you're in a relationship for 17 years, you're going to lose people. When you say goodbye to something like that, people are going to part ways. So it was an adjustment period, but I feel like I can be more of who I truly am. I'm more myself now. I feel more comfortable in my own skin. I know it was the right decision for me. And luckily, him and I are in a very healthy place now.
Was there grief?
Yes.
How'd you work through that? Because I've had guests come on and similar, like long-term marriages, and then when it ends, it's like grief, shame, guilt,
Yeah.
because that's till death do us part, or especially if you're religious, religion plays in a part. And how did you? What were your feelings, and how'd you get through those?
It's hard because I made the decision to leave.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say, yeah, I chose to leave the marriage, but now I'm sad and I'm grieving this, right? But that was the truth about it. And I had envisioned us remaining friends and remaining really close, even through the divorce. And what I had to accept was he was not ready for friendship. He definitely needed distance from me for the first couple of years. And that was really hard for me to accept in the beginning. And eventually, when I decided to let go of that expectation, that's when he came around again. And we were able to mend some of that hurt. But it took time. Like most significant things, it just takes time. Yeah.
Is it true that, how do I say this? Like how there's like a saying about how like women, once they make that decision, it ain't like that. It wasn't random. It's like a build. Like they probably, not you exactly, but they might have known a year before they decided to file for the divorce or break up.
Yeah. No, I did not know. But something happened. And it's funny. The one thing that made me decide, okay, that's it. Most people just overlook, or it was just like a bump in the road for some. But I was like, no, this is
cherry on top.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it just kind of embodied, all the problems in the relationship. Just that one act.
Oh, okay.
And it was easy for me I never looked back. I knew the decision was right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you taking your power back. You're really out here. And you mentioned, well, you didn't mention, but also I just know all your tea.
Mm-hmm.
You were there October 1.
I was. Yeah.
What was that like going through, and how'd you get over that mentally, emotionally?
Well,
you don't have to get too into detail, because I know it's traumatic.
Looking at the experience now, I'm actually grateful I was there. I learned so much about myself through the process. I was with 2 girlfriends at the concert, and luckily I was not physically injured. But the way I handled such a situation like that, it really surprised me. I kind of went into a state of shock during the whole experience and was very much in denial about it actually being gunfire. I think I was just trying to protect myself. My ego was trying to protect me. And I really shut down, and I did not cry for 4 days after October 1. I was very much, but once I did break down and cry, it was like a freight train hit me. And then I started to develop symptoms of PTSD. Any loud sound around me, any siren, God forbid a firework went off. So I was able to work through that initially, and I got through all the trauma, I would say, in the first 3 to 6 months. I did the work. But then about 5 years later, the PTSD came back, full force. But it gave me, after October 1 and after I felt what PTSD felt like, that was my first, when I looked at the homeless community, I felt like I better understood some of the people out there, that are suffering from PTSD and they can't function in their daily lives because of that. I got a small dose of that. But 5 years later, it got to the point where you couldn't walk into a room without startling me, no matter how loud you were, or how common it was. My office at work, if someone just randomly popped into my office, which happens throughout the day, I found my nervous system was constantly just on edge, and I was constantly trying to calm myself. And it got to be a little bit embarrassing. If someone honked on the freeway, it would just set me off. And so I had to stop and rework through that PTSD through, forms of EMDR therapy. And it took a couple of months of real therapy, and, knock on wood, I'm doing much better today. But I look back at that experience and I'm grateful because I learned a lot about myself, and it made me a more empathetic person.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't met nobody that was, maybe somebody that was there. I remember I was working at a dispensary that day, and where I worked, that was right by the Desert Springs Hospital. I remember we were just sitting out front, and we kept seeing like one ambulance, another ambulance, car. It was just too frequent. We're like, what's going on? And then we all get on our phones, and we saw the owner was like, let's close down, go. And it's just shocking. You never expect something like that. I really wish they would have not killed him and caught him. And I don't know. I think some people get too easy by just dying off. Like, no, you need to suffer a little bit. You need to meet big black man in jail and let him have his fun with you. Yay. One thing my mom always told me, my mom laid some good gems on me. I remember when I was 19, my first time doing ecstasy.
Okay.
I was dating this girl. I had a freak out, panicked, didn't know what to do. Call my mom. Whenever I get in trouble and get scared, I call my mom. She's like half asleep. Wait, what's going on? I'm like, I took the ecstasy pill. I don't know what to do. It's my heart and I'm scared. She's like, well, don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
Did you do ecstasy again?
No, but I did other drugs.
Okay.
And then again, fast forward a few years later, I remember I was in my cocaine addiction at the time. Called her again. I was like, hey, I did cocaine tonight. My heart's pounding. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. She told me the same thing. Don't do the crime. You can't do the time. As little as that or simple as that sounds, it's true.
Yeah.
There's consequences to the actions you make.
Yeah.
So it's important to be aware of what you're doing and understand the consequence. Could be good, could be bad. And that's what I've learned. I think that's why for so long I've been able to take accountability for a lot of things that have happened to me, good and bad. All the times I went to jail, all the times I've done just ridiculous things. I never pointed fingers. It's on me. I make these decisions to put myself in these positions. But it's about learning to get knowledge from that situation to make a better choice. For me, it took me years, a lot of years before I had to start to make better choices. I was going to jail a lot, drinking a lot, and here we are. We're almost done here, but I want to ask you another question. Your son's diagnosed schizophrenia, living on the streets. Your mother passes away from cancer. Your brother passes away, overdose. You end a long-term marriage, but yet you still show up with full energy, full love, leading with love. How is what I want to know. And what I'm asking how is for the audience. It's for the people who are going to hear this, see this, who they're struggling to get through, like their trauma or their situation. And I'm not saying in the sense of you're just glamorous, you're not having bad days, you're just, right. I'm sure you have your days, right? But for the most part, when people get to meet you, they'll see like just so much love and just happy. And how can people who are struggling find some of that?
Well, I always tell my team at work, how you start your day is how you end your day. So I really take time in the morning to be there for myself. Journaling, reading, reflecting, setting intentions for the day. I know what my body needs. Like I need nature, I need community, I need connection. These are all things that are really important to me. I need 8 hours of sleep. I need it to function and show up for myself. I also think just my body is always telling me what I need to know. And I think people need to pause and listen to their bodies, where they're feeling pain, and to respond to their bodies with love and compassion. We're masking so much through, drugs, alcohol, shopping addictions, phone addictions, right? We're just running, escaping. I I'm always asking my body to lead the way. It's my voice. And you have to slow down to hear that voice. And people aren't willing to slow down. They're not willing to stop doing. That's why time on the mat is so powerful. Like you're stuck with yourself for 60 minutes. You know, your emotions come to the surface. So you can either try to, move them back down, or you can just let them, flow and leave your body and allow your body to feel lighter. That's really been my consistent practice. And again, I have a really strong spiritual foundation. I trust the timing of things in life. I don't believe there are any mistakes in life. I do my best to live by the 4 agreements every single day because again, it's usually the mind controlling and you're not letting the body control. And the one thing I've been doing consistently for, I think it's 2008, is my gratitude practice. I really feel like when people come to me complaining, they don't appreciate the beauty around them. They don't appreciate the person that they're sharing a marriage with, or they tend not to have enough gratitude in their life. They're not seeing the beauty around them. And I can find beauty and gratitude in any experience. And I think that's what sustains me every day.
While you're at it,
yeah,
what's a quote or mantra you live by and why?
Well, I hashtag everything Jamie is grateful because I really feel that way. I'm grateful I get to be Bailey's mom and I get to learn about this. It led me to Shine a Light and all the beautiful people there. And now the women I'm growing and connecting with in that organization. I feel like it's just all part of the journey. Our souls are here to learn and to experience and to feel joy. And my mantra is Jamie is grateful. I will find gratitude in everything I do, everything I experience. Yeah, everyone I meet. Just knowing even the people that bug you in the room, those are probably the people you need to spend more time with. There's a reason they're there. And oftentimes when I'm looking at one of those people, I'm like, okay, what am I meant to learn from this person, right? But I there are no mistakes. Yeah.
As we wrap up, that was the last question I have, but do you have anything you want to touch on or say, shout out or anything?
Thank you for allowing me to come in and talk about Bailey. I haven't always talked so openly about Bailey, but I found that there's not a lot of people for me to talk to about this experience, about this journey. I don't know a lot of people that have children living on the streets, suffering from mental health and addiction all at the same time. I know there's people out there that need to talk about it. Anytime I do open up and I find myself being vulnerable about it, I never regret it. Someone always needs the conversation. I always get something in return. So I know there's a stigma around it, but we need to start talking about mental health more openly. And that really was my purpose of coming on here today. So thank you for giving me this platform.
Of course. Yeah. You're an amazing human that does amazing things for people. And hearing your story, I just knew somebody out, you're not the only one.
Yes.
We're rarely the only one.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping some mother out there, father, child hears this story and feels seen and feels like, wow, I knew I wasn't tripping, and maybe they'll connect with you. I'll make sure I tag her Instagram into the description of this podcast. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Once again, Jamie, thank you for sharing. Coming up in January, if you're struggling with your identity after going sober or cutting back on your drinking, I'm having a free workshop to help you navigate your newfound sobriety life. Yes, I know how hard it is. Giving up alcohol wasn't too challenging. The real work came when I didn't know how to date. I didn't know how to be a friend. I didn't know how to go out without drinking. What do? You feel weird. This workshop is for you. If you know somebody who can benefit from it, send it to them. Also, leave you with the word, your favorite part. I know it. I got like 2 maybe. But I want to touch on what Jamie shared today. In 2026, look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I am no longer running. I'm no longer escaping. Don't escape from who you truly are. Go towards the storm like the bison. Face who you are so you can become better. You can only run from the self you're trying to hide for so long. It'll show up in your work. It'll show up in your relationships. It'll show up in ways you don't want. So please look at yourself in the mirror this year. No more running, no more escaping to the phone, the friends, the drinks, the liquor, the women, the porn, none of that. No more. No more running. And the other word I was going to say, what was it? Oh, 2026. Also this year, I want you to own your story. Own it. When you own your story, you take back your power. And not only that, you're going to help somebody else because you're not the only one going through what you've been through. Somebody needs you to speak up so they can feel seen, so they can feel heard. You don't have to do it on a podcast like me, but you can just open your mouth, have a conversation with somebody. Get out there and start to learn who your friends really are. All that surface level shit has got to go. Get deeper. More than importantly, 2 words, keep growing. 2026, we out here.